We're troublemakers on this side of the house. They got chocolate on that side. We're the ones committing treason on this side. What I'm actually printing today is the Declaration of Independence.
Wow.
A version printed here in Boston. My last I heard is, folks who say you were from Connecticut.
Yeah.
There's some guy that commits a little bit of treason there too. His name is Benedict Arnold.
Oh, yeah.
He was a hero of the Revolution initially, and he really, the way things were going, he probably would have possibly even beaten Washington for first elected president of the United States. He was that popular and that good at what he did. Unfortunately, he marries a loyalist. And she kind of pokes him and said, hey, they're not giving you the credit you deserve. You should come onto our side. Essentially, that's the loose background of that. But this document that I'm printing today is the Boston printed edition of the Declaration of Independence. It'll be this version that will be printed by this office on July 17th, 1776, here in Massachusetts for the very first time. Every state, these newly formed 13 states, will print their own edition. So there's a Boston edition, there's a Philadelphia edition, there's a New York edition, there is one printed in Hartford. And so these are being circulated out to the public so people know what's going on. In the case of this Boston edition, this office prints it, and the following day on July 18th, 1776, this will be publicly read from the balcony of the old State House over where the Boston Massacre takes place. There are only 3 surviving copies of this version. They sell for about $900,000. Ours are significantly cheaper, but no less authentic. Our paper comes from the same company. They're still in business today. Founded in 1770 as the Liberty Paper Mill, renamed in 1801 after their founder, Stephen Crane. They are known as the Crane Paper Company today. Supplies the cotton paper that U.S. currency is printed on. The typeset here, 9,000 letters, recast and measured from one of the 3 surviving original copies, so dimensionally it's identical. And the ink is an 18th century formula made from carbon black, linseed oil, and pine resin. That's what I'm working with here, this ink here. Now you'll note I don't have ink rollers. They haven't been invented yet. We don't see the first ink rollers until about 1830, so not for another 60 or so years. I have to make these every morning. They're called ink balls. It's a piece of leather nailed over a handful of sheep's wool. And with these, what we're doing is we're spreading a light coating of ink across the surface of the type, just like this here. Now the person that handles the ink in a press like this, their job is called the beater. Want to take a guess why? The other person, and it is a 2-person operation, typically one person handles ink, the other person is going to be handling the paper. And they'll be the ones also producing the print. Their job is called the puller. They naturally pull the bar in the press. Every print we produce, though, requires 2 pulls. You can only print 1/2 at a time. That's why I need 2 volunteers. Because I don't want to pull this all day. It generates about 2,000 pounds of pressure with every pull. We'll print a sheet every 15 seconds, which means I'm going to print 2,000 sheets a day and pull this bar 4,000 times. So you get a fairly good workout. You do that 6 days a week. You only have to work 12 to 15 hours a day. It's not so bad. Your average printer will produce 500,000 printed sheets a year. That means you're going to pull that bar 1,000,000 times. You typically work 35 to 45, even as much as 55 years as a printer. So in your lifetime, you're probably going to print on a press like this and pull this bar about 40 million times. Get a fairly good workout. Benjamin Franklin was a printer for 35 years. You ever wonder why the ladies like him so much? He's in pretty good shape. So we set our paper in place like this here. Hold this down, hold it in place, and we set it down onto the type. Now I'm going to roll in about halfway. The reason I'm going to do that is because it weighs about 500 pounds. I have about 250 pounds of lead type sitting on a 300-pound slab of marble, so it's fairly heavy. We bring it in about halfway, and then what I'm going to have, you're going to come over here and help me out here first. You're going to stand right behind the press, put both hands on the wood here, and you're going to lean all the way back like you're rowing a boat until that touches the edge of the press.
There you go.
There. All the way back.
All the way back.
Perfect, just like that. Good. Only 3,999 more times to go. Have you come over here and pull a second one. Same way, all the way back. Perfect, just like that. And what we should have here, bring this out, is a nice clean copy
Wow.
That's actually
of the
really
Boston Declaration of Independence. You just committed treason, but a little treason never hurt anyone, right? As long as you don't get caught.
Oh, that's great.
Gotta sign that, Chloe. That's
Yeah.
your copy.
I'm gonna have you guys sign the bottom of it, and I'm gonna roll this one up, and you're gonna send it home with you.
Wow.
The rule though, for having one right off the press, because the ink does take 24 hours to dry, you gotta leave it rolled up overnight. Because I'm using raised type, it leaves an impression of the letters in the paper. You can actually see it on the back there. The ink sits in the impression, not on the surface. So once this dries, you can actually pull it out of the tube, lay it down flat, and run your hand across the back, and you can actually feel every single letter pressed into that paper. There are 9,126 letters and space in the Declaration of Independence. Don't ask me how I know that. So let's see if I can find a pen here. And what I'll do is I'll have you guys sign it right on the bottom here.
Great,
And I'll roll that up in the tube and send it home with you.
thank you very much.
Thanks so much for stopping in. This is how we're starting revolutions. It's actually quite revolutionary. The technology is remarkable because it changes little in 350 years. From 1450, when Gutenberg starts printing, until 1800, this is it, nothing changes. That'd be like going to the Apple store today, buying a new iPhone. And for the next 350 years, there's no updates, no changes, nothing. The reality of it is, it's obsolete before you walk out of the front door, and Apple and cell phones probably won't exist in 300 years. So the fact that it stands that long with no change, what's even more incredible is that the lead type that Gutenberg develops in 1450 is how we're printing everything well into the mid-1970s, so it'll last over 525 years. Until there's a computer with a word processor, this is it.
Wow,
So I'll roll this up,
thank you very
that
much.
tube for you, take that with you.
Great keepsake.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks so much for the help, because like I said, I don't like to have to pull that all day. It's tiring. I've been doing it since February. We're getting ready, this is our last day this year. We shut down for January.
Oh, really? So we're
February,
lucky,
yeah.
huh?
Wow.
So are you guys here? Round two. Then you guys will be all set. We do have apprentice contracts, so if you want to get rid of them. It's only, typically apprentice start about age 9 or 10, but sometimes a little bit later than that.
We'll keep that in mind.
It's a 12-year apprenticeship. We don't pay them, but they provided 2 pairs of clothes a year, 3 meals a day, job training.
Did you make all those papers down there?
Yeah, that's this summer, the ones that didn't sell this summer. A lot of times I have downtime during the day because I'm sure you can actually felt on the corner of the paper, it actually feels a little damp. The paper's actually wet.
I noticed you kept it under that, whatever it is, burlap or whatever.
Yeah.
I assume to keep it humid.
To keep it wet, yeah. The paper itself is cotton, and I can't print on it dry, it'll damage the type. And so the night before, we actually take the paper for the next day, we drag it 3 sheets at a time through water, put 3 dry sheets on top, then 3 wet, then 3 dry. We alternate that, place a felt on top, a board on top of that, and I have a 70-pound slab of marble I lay down on top to weigh it down. So, and